It's a beautiful day here in Northern California. Prime time painting weather. I was actually surprised that there's like sort of like 2.5 hours from here north. There's a mega fire. I guess a mega fire is
10,000 acres.
Yeah, when it comes over like 100,000 acres, so that's like 60 something square miles. Anyways, massive fire, like 5 miles from the ocean. Anyways, this is what we're here to talk about. So the enclosure is been knocked down, degreased, fixing to prime it right now. Stewman is currently mixing up some primer. You can see I was able to clean up the Sikaflex. If I could do it again, I would definitely not cock around with it so much. Get in and get out, because it's sort of a biatch to try to clean up. So it sands just about like an eraser. So pardon the no gimbal, it's a freestyle hour. Got the enclosure sanded, ready for one more coat of primer before the sun gets too hot. This is an outside affair. Looks good. Next step, primer. Stu is shooting some primer, second coat. Juice on getting him to finally wear a respirator. You know, he's sort of old school like that. Never too late though. We were using an HVLP gun, but it doesn't play well with the primer. I think it's like a finish gun. Well, it was bought for that. So, out with the old Binks coming through. Feel a little bit bad for the neighbors, but they're sort of pricks and we were here first, so we win. So after this, knock it down and mix up some paint and paint it. It's neat, this primer being catalyzed, it dries in like an hour or something, or less than that. Sandable in an hour, so should be no problem priming, sanding, and painting all in one day.
Yeah.
Currently painting the backside and the inside. Gonna let it cure for a minute and flip it up and proceed.
Yeah, it's drying a little bit.
It's pretty interesting though, the color. I'm not sure how like the white balance affects this, but when the paint goes on, much whiter. Like the inside back wall right there was just painted. Let's see if this shows up. So here's the bottom side, and it's interesting. It's definitely grayer, and that's good. That's a good thing, because when it first comes out, it's pretty white, and it's like, whoa, daddy, that thing's gonna be white. So it's looking pretty good. There was some concern about the temperature. I swear it's foggy here 364 and a half days of the year, and this past week has just been lit up with sunshine, so figures, huh? But compared to the primer, I think we used like a little less hot of a reducer, so it looks to be like it's working. You're looking at the, I don't even know what you call it,
Back support brace.
back support brace. Boom! That's what it's called. Yeah, it goes on the back of the enclosure, and that's the thing that holds the cable chain and lets the gas strut pass through the back. It's and that is the same color as the enclosure, and at least to my eyes it looks stark ass white. So that's not what color it really is. And then here is, this is what bolts the machine to the enclosure and the enclosure to the base. It was previously painted the dark color, but decision was made that it ought to be the color of the enclosure. So it's a different color now. It's really tremendous. Just believe me on that one. Just wanted to give a little walkthrough tour of the current state of affairs down here in the shop. It's grizzly time. It's just like Beverly Hillbillies in here. There's shit strewn from one side of the building to the other. This is sort of mid-painting, disassembly, reassembly. Just a lot going on. I was just talking to my dad about, you know, you're deep in a project when you start to have to label stuff, and I've stamped a lot of the components, so you know which way they go, lefts and rights and fronts and backs for final assembly. It's like, I don't remember what I made, 8 months ago. Yeah, this is actually funny. That's the other, it's a GRIZZLY drill press. Seems pretty trusty, although it's got a VFD on it and a 3-phase motor, but GRIZZLY nonetheless, right? And then you see some drawers, and not much really machining going on here lately with all of the finish work. You come into the machine area, and there's more crapola. Here's the enclosure. That's the color, the dark gray color. I think that's a better representation, or at least through the camera. So here we're gonna start, staging and packaging all of the 10 pounds of stuff in the 5-pound box. I'm gonna get the computer in there and see what does and doesn't fit, I guess. So thought I'd take a break from the paint talk. People like some variety, so. Just moved the enclosure in. Gonna call it painted. I think it turned out pretty good. I think there's, we'll just say there's less than 100 flies, ants, bugs, and gnats in it, so that's a good thing. You never can tell when you're painting outside. You're sort of held hostage by Mother Nature. Moving it in, it's still sort of wet, and let's see if you can see it. That's my fingerprint. Forever immortalized. It'll be cool. It'll be covered up. Oh yeah, and it's pretty awesome. My little body line held up. Pretty happy with how that turned out. That was done with a modified Harbor Freight air over hydraulic flanging tool, slightly modified, so it would work with the, I think this is 16 gauge. I think the Harbor Freight tool is rated to like 16, so some modification and a little dinking around. I think it worked out rather nicely. Super excited. After this dries, the only thing left to paint really is the castings of the machine, and then it's really final assembly time, so the project is nearing an end. Yeah, so looking forward to the next coming weeks assembly. So come back, check me out. Thanks for watching. If you got any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. I'd love to answer anything you might be curious about. If not, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks a lot.